When I was little, I lived next door to a woman who I called Mrs. Eshelman. I always liked her because she gave the best candy on Halloween, and she had over 1,000 dogs. At least, it felt like 1,000 when I was little. It was probably only a few hundred. On days when I didn't have anything to do, which was almost every day, I would walk over to her house after I got home from school and look at all the cool stuff she had. She had lots because she traveled basically everywhere in the world. If I looked at the tea set that she always served me tea out of and asked where it came from, she would say, Azerbaijan. When I asked about the pendulum clock on the wall, she would say, Quebec. And when I asked about the beautiful scarf she was wearing, the most beautiful scarf I had ever seen, she would say, Target. But if you look really close, you can see that it was made in Bangladesh. Most of the time when I came over, she would be sitting at her desk writing in her notebook, and so I would sit with my tea and write in my notebook. I would make lists, or draw maps, or try to remember the words to songs I heard on the radio. But after a while, I began to feel a creeping suspicion that writing was supposed to be about something, and I didn't know what to write about. So I asked Mrs. Eshelman what she was writing about. An island, is all she said. I asked her what island, and she said, an island you've never heard of. An island I'd never heard of. Suddenly it was all I could think about, dream about, write about. What kind of plants could grow on an island I'd never heard of? What kind of animals would live there? Which stars would come out at night? Pretty soon I had filled up an entire notebook with my ideas. When I showed Mrs. Eshelman, she read every single page in silence. When she finished, she said she wanted to show me something. She got out her enormous atlas and opened it up to the emptiest part of the Pacific Ocean, and in the middle of the page, where there was normally just blue water, was a tiny shape scribbled in pencil and 3 small handwritten words. This is my island, she said. I asked her why I'd never heard of it before. She told me that the people who end up there like it so much that they never leave, so there's no one to talk about it. I asked her why she left. She said it was because she wanted to tell the story of the island while there was still time. At least, she thought she did. When I asked what she meant by that, she just shrugged. Later that year, Mrs. Eshelman moved away. It happened suddenly. She left no phone number or forwarding address. The only thing she left behind was her atlas. As the years passed, I would think of her often and wonder about the island whose story she had thought she wanted to tell. I searched the local libraries and later the internet for any other mention of Osh Pa Gaup, and never found a single word. There was no evidence that such a place even existed, aside from a conversation I thought I remembered having with my neighbor when I was little. But there was the atlas, and the atlas had coordinates. When I was 16, I went with my class on a school trip to Japan. I chose to study Japanese because I knew about this trip, and that the flight to Narita Airport would take us over the exact stretch of the Pacific Ocean that Mrs. Eshelman had scribbled on in her atlas. I bargained with my classmates for a window seat on the left side of the plane. While everyone else slept, or read, or listened to music, or practiced kanji, I stared at the seatback screen and tracked our progress. About halfway through the flight, I knew we were drawing near. I threw open the window shade and pressed my face against the glass to look out. But there were only clouds. I stared and stared, waiting for a break to peer through. It never came. All I saw in any direction was white. I wouldn't see the ocean again until 5 hours later when we began our descent, and by then, Oshpa Gaup, if it was anywhere at all, was thousands of miles behind us.